My name is Tanisha Key, and I'm the director at the Fentress County campus. What a humbling moment it is to stand here in front of you today to mark this very special occasion. The ribbon cutting and open house at the newly renovated Roane State Community College Fentress campus. It is my sincere pleasure to welcome you to this beautiful facility as we navigate into a new school year, inspiring students to a lifelong passion for learning and helping them become the best version of themselves. Thank you to our students, alumni, staff, faculty, our community members, and special guests for taking time from your busy schedules to celebrate with us today. Because this campus is not for us, but for you, the residents of Fentress County. It is my privilege now to introduce Dr. Whaley, President of Roane State Community College. A native of Roane County and a Roane State alumnus, Dr. Whaley was named President of Roane State in November of 2012. We are proud and honored to have him serve as our president. Dr. Whaley?
Thank you very much, Tanisha. Let me repeat the thanks and the gratitude that we have for all of you to take a few moments and come out and see this wonderful facility, this very special moment for all of us to stand here today and mark the official ribbon cutting and open house of the newly renovated Roane State Community College Fentress County campus. This is made possible by a number of folks whom we're going to try to make sure we thank all of them. We're going to start with the Tennessee Board of Regents system. You know, TBR's unwavering commitment to providing the highest quality teaching and learning environment for our students, for our faculty, then also obviously by the support of this community. This facility represents that commitment. And I can't say that strongly enough. How much this community gets behind and the passion that this community, its leaders, its members, its business people have for higher education in Fentress County. It's very humbling, and it's our great honor to serve Fentress County here at Roane State Community College. Now, before we get to the ribbon cutting, let's recognize some of our special guests. All of you are our special guests, but some we want to point out in particular. Senator Ken Yeager is here. Thank you, Senator. Representative John Mark Wendell. I have to say that the two of them, I don't know if they know they share this, but they've known me about as long as anybody here in the group, in that they knew me when I was thin and had hair many years ago. That's how long they've known Chris Whaley. So it's a long time. It is. It is. I got a call on the way over here from our dear friend, Representative Kelly Kiesling, and Kelly feels fine, but he's having to quarantine because he was exposed to COVID, and so he thought it best not to be here, and we're grateful to him for staying where he is, but we do miss him, and so we do appreciate everything Representative Kiesling does for us. We're also pleased to have the Executive Director of Facilities Development for the Tennessee Board of Regents, Dick Tracy, is here. Thank you, sir. Fentress County Executive Jimmy Johnson is here. Thank you, sir. Not only for being here, but for the dream of the future that Roane State and TCAT both are able to serve the citizens of Fentress County. Philip Hall, who I'm going to have much more to say about in just a moment, one of our foundation board members and the reason we're able to enjoy this facility today. Philip, thank you so much to you and your family. Jamestown Mayor Lyndon Baines is here. I saw somewhere. There you are, sir. Thank you for being here. Dr. Joe Miller, the director of York Institute, is here. There he is, right there. And Leanne Smith, the Fentress County Chamber Director, is here. Leanne, where did you go? Right there. It's hard to see, hard to point folks out in the mask still after all this time. You'd think I'd be used to it. We're also grateful, there's a number of folks who wanted to be here today and couldn't. Bryant Johnson, whom all of you know and is also a Roane State Foundation board member, is getting ready to help the York football team trek over to Middle Tennessee. And he said if he happened to come through at just the right time pulling the football equipment, he would honk at us. So if a vehicle comes by and honks, it could be anyone celebrating, but more likely it's Bryant who's doing that. So honest to goodness. When Roane State first started offering classes in Fentress County, we began, like we did a lot of places, by offering classes in our local high schools, and we still do that. That's not something we've ever vacated. But in 2004, many of you remember, with the support of our dear friends, the late Guy and Claudine Pinkley, we were able to expand our course offerings at a dedicated campus utilizing 5 portable buildings across the street from the Alvin C. York Institute. Then in 2016, due to the graciousness of York, we moved across the street into what was or had been their former ROTC building when they did some expansion there. And we were very grateful. That was perfect and needed timing for us at the time to be able to do that. Until, due to the hard work of a number of folks, but primarily this wonderful lady here, Tanisha Key, who has grown enrollment substantially at our Fentress County campus, we needed additional space. Well, at that point, this gentleman stepped in. I dare you to find any human being more passionate about higher education and the benefits of higher education. Stepped in and not only talked the talk, walked the walk, and provided us here with 8,000 square feet of space, enough to hold 6 classrooms, including a dedicated computer lab, an area large enough for students to use a computer, to study, to mingle with friends, all the things that go into to a part of being in college. And as grateful as we were to have the other spaces, I'd say, Tanisha, probably you just almost don't know what to do with yourself with all this space. You grow into it, though. You do. You grow into it. So, Philip, again, thank you so very much to you and to your family. Now, one of the things that's unique about this newly renovated campus is its focus on offering Zoom-enabled technology in all classrooms. A year ago, if I'd said the word Zoom, you all would have thought about these cars going up and down the road. But now, due to Zoom meetings and, frankly, Zoom fatigue, all the Roane State people standing in the back are giving amens now to all that. But still, the technology is critically important for the delivery of our classes, and this campus has the ability to deliver all classes with that Zoom technology, which is, again, extremely important for us as we deliver a wide variety of courses here to students in Fentress County, to keep them from having to travel. I mean, there was the day and age when, we got in cars and we went to other campuses. Some of our students still do that. But so many of our students who are working, who have family obligations, I'm not talking about a job, I'm talking about 3 jobs, plus school on top of that, and all the other things in their lives. If you have to travel too far, that just means they're not going to get to go to school, and that's not okay. And so through Zoom and through, again, having campuses in all parts of our service area, we hope to remove that barrier. Now, regardless of the technology, as great as it is, this can only, a project like this can only be achieved through incredible teamwork. And dangerous ground here, because you start thanking people and invariably you're going to leave some out, and for that I apologize. But now there are just some individuals we've got to say thank you to. So again, to repeat myself, the first big thank you goes to TBR for working with us and permitting us to make this move and the renovation process of this facility. Again, secondly, to Philip Hall and to his family who made this property available, who assisted, went beyond just making it available, but then pitched in and helped with some of the renovations. Thank you very much. By gutting the restrooms at his expense to help keep our renovation costs down, and this beautiful facility that has resulted. But I've got to thank one group in particular, and most of you have never met these folks, but without their talents and skills, we wouldn't be here today, I promise you. Several members of this group are here today. Several of them just could not be here, but we're still going to recognize all of them. These Roane State employees, who primarily work at the Roane County campus, part of our physical plant, maintenance and operations, They were dedicated to assisting us and to renovating this again to make sure that we did it efficiently, both resource-wise and time-wise. And so I would like to thank all of them. Stan Starkey, director of our physical plant. They're standing behind you. David Webb, yes. And I should have said this. If you don't mind, we'll hold the applause to the end. Then we're going to give them a great big round of applause. So Stan Starkey, who's the director of the physical plant, David Webb, our project manager, Sean McDonald, who was our lead carpenter, Greg Mayo, our electrician, Jerry Kindred, painter, as well as a number of other individuals, J.T. O'Reilly, Ethan Johnson, Roy Wiley, Gary Swikert, Caden Barber, Brandon Marcinek, and Don Clark. Would you please help me join in and thank amazing work. And to all of you, thank you so very much. In fact, the way I kept tabs with how things were going is Sean. If anybody rivals me in social media, it might be Sean. And that's the way when I couldn't be here in person, kept up with the great progress. But we are so grateful to all of you. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to cut the ribbon and let you back inside, not only to see the beautiful facility, but also take part in the great refreshments that are being provided by the wonderful folks at Clarkrange High School. But we do want to invite a few individuals to the podium to say a few words. And so we will start, please, again. Dick Tracy, the Executive Director of Facilities Development at the Tennessee Board of Regents.
Thank you, Dr. Whaley. Chancellor Tiding sends her regards. These events are probably one of the things she really enjoys to come to, but under these kind of trying times, she's been tied up. But I think she really would like to let you all know that we're really looking forward to how things are going to be, not this being the new norm, so that we can continue to expand not only this campus, but I think the offerings across the Fentress County area. One of her missions is to make TBR the best option for higher education, especially in these areas. And so it's really important to us to be able to offer these facilities or work with the campuses to offer these facilities, not only this one, but looking at a long-term plan on how we can continue to grow to make it more accessible to the students and the future students of Fentress County. So again, thank you on behalf of Chancellor Tidings.
Thank you so much, Dick. Now I'm going to invite first Senator Ken Yeager, then Representative John Mark Wendell up. But before both of them come up, I want to say this on behalf of both of them, that you all don't have reason to sort of know this on a day-to-day basis. So let me just tell you that if ever you question and doubt how firmly our elected officials at the General Assembly stand behind the mission of Roane State and providing higher education, you can just perish that thought, because I can tell you what champions they are for everything that we do, and to a large degree the things that we do are only possible because of their passionate support of seeing our students move ahead and have the benefit of higher education. So, gentlemen, to both of you, my sincere congratulations. Senator Yeager, would you come up and share, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for inviting me and having me here today. It's good to be here. It's in Fentress County at Roane State. To reconnect with some of my former associates here at the college and to see constituents here from Jamestown and Fentress County. It's just good to be here. Thank you for having me. And this is a marvelous event today. When I suggested they wave banners, I really didn't have that in mind, but it is a marvelous event here today. I've seen this campus grow now from the original site that Chris alluded to in his earlier remarks to this very fine building here today, which really represents a tremendous step forward in what Roane State can do for the students here in Jamestown, Clarkrange, and Fentress County, and indeed the whole region. By adding the additional classrooms and the state-of-the-art technology, we are able to offer more classes and to increase our enrollment, which we were not able to do in previous facilities. So it is a marvelous step forward that will provide more opportunity for the young people of this county, and not just the young people, but for our citizens who will come here through Tennessee Reconnect, which I really think that you will see a groundswell through in our Reconnect students here in the Fentress County site. So I'm just glad to be here and glad to, without reservation, support the college in the Tennessee General Assembly, because I believe with all my heart that Roane State Community College is indeed a life-changing institution, and I'm glad to have just a small part in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I don't mind telling you, my life just flashed before my eyes when the flag was going down there. That is not the way we want you to go viral on YouTube. Thank you so very, very much. Senator Yeager, as he alluded to, longtime staff and faculty member at the college, both in administration and still to this day. There's any number of a generation of students, frankly, who will come through and tell you that he's one of the finest history instructors that they ever had at the college. So very, very special. Representative John Mark Wendell, come to the podium, please, sir.
Good afternoon. First of all, Dr. Whaley, I want to thank you for your good judgment in placing Tanisha Key in Fentress County and Michelle Atkinson in Morgan County and Roane County. They are a positive reflection, not just on you, but on the university, and they do such a good job. I want to thank both of them and their staff as well, because they impact a lot of young people's lives in Morgan and Fentress County, and I appreciate both of them. And second, I want to thank my colleague. It's a pleasure to work with Senator Yeager, because he certainly understands the value of what you're trying to do, because Ken Yeager worked himself through college, and he's a hard-working person and gets up every day and works hard, and it's nice to have somebody with that kind of ethic to work with each day. And you can rest assured that Fentress County and Morgan County and the rest of the counties represents certainly have a true advocate and somebody who can actually get things done in Nashville. And I appreciate working with him, and I don't want to belabor the point, but he's my friend. But I want to point out that he does a great job for us and for Fentress County, and we're lucky to have somebody that's a hard worker and has vision. And thank you very much, Senator Yeager. Appreciate it. And I'm going to claim Dr. Whaley for Morgan County, I think. Not Roane County. I'm going to claim him as a Morgan County. Is that fair? Okay. And say hello to your parents, by the way. And Steve Boutel, happy 55th birthday. Happy birthday. And I'm going to finish up by pointing out a few more elements to this campus. And maybe the most important elements are Mr. Hall and his wife. Without them, this wouldn't have happened. And they are a perfect example of people who try to give back to the community. And I'm glad to call them my friends and look forward to what comes next for both of them. Also, there's not a better advocate for this campus and for this institution in Fentress County, including Senator Yeager, than Jimmy Johnson. That's a fact. And also Mayor Baines. But not a week goes by that Jimmy Johnson, am I wrong, Senator Yeager? He brings this to my attention weekly, and he's not going to let go until something happens. So, Jimmy, I appreciate your hard work, and that's enough said about that, I guess. I'll just finish up in saying I'm looking forward to the future here, and it looks really good to me, and we're glad to have you in the south end of the county, and also in Jamestown too, Jimmy. I got to get that in. Right. But we do appreciate that you're here, and I can't say enough about the staff that you have and what a good reflection they are on Roane State. And in places like Fentress County and Morgan County, Pickett County, Overton County, the opportunity for an education can't be overestimated, and we appreciate the fact that you're giving us that opportunity. And I want to look around the audience and make sure that I don't mess up and forget to name somebody. But certainly, Dr. Miller, it's good that you're here today. Appreciate what you're doing at York Institute. But thank you for having me today. It's just such a nice day to be outside, and especially at an event like this. But thanks again. Have a good afternoon. Appreciate you, Chris.
Appreciate your kind compliments, Representative Wendell, and here to everything that you said about the folks here in Fentress County and the folks at Roane State. You're too modest to let us. Well, back in the 97th General Assembly. That's been a few years ago now, hadn't it? Yeah. But Colonel Wendell is also a great leader for this region, and also a great American. And so, Representative Wendell, Colonel Wendell, thank you for all that you do, sir. We're indebted to you. And we've talked about him several times, and he probably just wishes I'd just quit because he's modest and doesn't want the spotlight on him. But again, the only way that we're standing here today celebrating this is because Philip Hall came to Tanisha and said, I think I can help you. No, that's not even the right way. I'm going to help you. And so then Tanisha contacted us, and we met, and brother, you have done a great thing here today, and we are so grateful for you. And I'm going to shut up because people are tired of hearing from me, and we want to hear from you. Would you come and say a few words, please?
Well, first of all, I see where Jenny went to. Jenny often gets involved in some of my antics, I guess you would say, and we purchased this facility, and we purchased it without a plan, really, and we had talked about the possibility of putting our pharmacy, which is across the road. We had talked about the possibility of putting it over here. I have to bring up Dr. Doug Smith, who is no longer with us. Dr. Doug passed away just over a year ago, and was a major influence in my life. And he was a proponent, too, for education and for betterment of the citizens of Fentress County and the Upper Cumberland. So a lot of what I do plays off of the influence that he was in my life. But we grew up in a time, I'm a graduate of Clarkrange High School. Jeannie is a graduate of York Institute, and Leanne went to Clarkrange. But we all grew up with one thing in mind, and that was that Sergeant York attitude of making it better for the young people of this area. That was instilled in us in school. It was something that was instilled in us all the way through growing up. And so when, Tanisha is a lifelong friend, when we started toying around with the notions of what we needed to do, and I was invited to be a part of the foundation, I didn't really understand at first what my role was, but they've trained me in what my role was. But when we saw that we didn't have space, and Tanisha wanted to grow the campus, and Tanisha saw the need, I knew we could do it. I knew that there was a possibility, and I did not realize that we had a building that was an option. And so it was just kind of a light bulb moment when it went off, and I said Tanisha, what about the facility next to the bank out at Clarkrange? I said, our goal is to have a central campus. And I want to say this about today. Today is a starting point for us. This is not, this is a huge celebration because this is a starting point for us as a community in what we are going to do in regards to higher education and in regards to unity within this community. I was in Jimmy's office this week, and we know that without unity in our region, very little is going to be accomplished. And So this is a start of that. This is the start of that unity, and Jimmy lays the plans down in front of me of what our hopes and our aspirations are. But this is a starting point, and you're going to see this grow. You're going to see this area flourish. I mean, we can sit here right now and we can see the traffic. A very important thing to me was I wanted people to see Roane State. I wanted people to notice Roane State. I wanted people to reflect on the possibilities of how Roane State could impact their life, and they do it when they drive by and they see it. So that was so important to us. So this is just the beginning of what's fixing to happen. This is just the beginning of a major change in Fentress County and in the entire Roane State community. We're a family. You know, when I got up here, I started to bring Leanne and Jenny with me because we are very much a family. And I have found that out. Scott has taught me that very early on about the nature of the family in regards to Roane State. And I will tell you this, is I felt like that I was a fairly educated person, but I had no idea about what we could do if we would just put a little effort into it. I had no idea about what we were capable of doing until I started having conversations with Dr. Whaley, and when I started having conversations with Senator Yeager, when I started talking to Representative Wendell. I had no idea what we could do. And me and Dr. Miller, we have those conversations. This is a starting point for a change. This is the reinventing of what Sergeant York done so many years ago for this community. He wanted a provision for the citizens of a community that's kind of cut off and secluded from the world just a little bit. He wanted that. And so we would restart it today. And we celebrate it today. Because we grew up with that put in our minds. We knew what that was about. And so now, Fentress County, we're going to make that contagious. Every campus, every Roane State student is going to have that planted inside their mind of what they're capable of what their school is capable of, and what their community is capable of. And we want them to come back here. We want them to be entrepreneurs. We want them to start businesses and companies. Folks, the days of waiting on industry to come into the community are over, and it's time for us to educate our citizens to come into the community and start industry. So when they have those ideas, it's up to us, it's up to our high schools and our community college to get behind them and to press forward with those ideas and help them create their vision and help it come to pass. But it's an honor to get to stand here. Dr. Whaley is a person that I feel like that I've known my whole life now. And we're going to do so many good things starting here and to come with the centralized campus. And I just encourage you, talk this place up, tell people what we're doing, be a cheerleader, be an advocate for what we're trying to do, and you will see the change that is needed in this region if you will get behind it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Philip. And it's wow, just moving because I know the heart from which you say all those things. All right, it's time to cut the ribbon. So we're going to dedicate the Roane State to Fentress County campus now. So we want to ask these individuals and many of you here, county executive and others, we want you all to come up. So we want to count down 3, 2, 1. All right.